Shall I start? All right. Thank you very much for those who are joining us today. Today we're gonna focus exclusively on Klaviyo and Klevu. So Klaviyo segments, particularly, that how you could utilize Klaviyo segments in Klevu recommendations. To begin with, let's rewind a little bit back. So about 8 months ago or so, we actually had launched something where you could use Klevu search events in Klaviyo to send recommendations via email to your customers. And now, since last 6 months or so, we have been working very actively with the team at Klaviyo as well. And what we have come up with now is Klaviyo segments we are pulling in to Klevu. And today, that's the second part that we have recently launched is something we're going to talk about. I talked about this briefly in the product town hall a few days ago. And today, we're going to kind of have a really deep dive into this. If you're already using Klaviyo and if you're using Klevu recommendations, you are practically ready to go and use it. And you can actually utilize it already for the holiday season. If you're not using Klevu recommendations and using Klaviyo, then of course, please let us know and we will do our best to help you with that. All right, let's go next, please. So agenda, we have 5 things that we're going to cover. One is segmentation. What is segmentation, how people are using it. Then we straight away go into the live demo and then go through some questions, and then we will have next training. So we should be able to finish it probably within 35 minutes today. And I see some people are joining. Thank you, Matt. We talked just this morning. So thank you for joining today. All right, please go next. So if you're a Klaviyo user, and if you're not Klaviyo user, but in general, how do you segment? So there are different ways you can segment your customers. You can segment your customers based on personalized experiences. You can segment your customers based on demographics, their pattern, how they are interacting with your shop. You can also have sort of the omni-channel marketing around your segmentation because you are using different channels. For example, with Klaviyo, you can have retargeting via segments and ultimately, higher conversions. I think that's ultimately what we are, looking for. So when you have these segments and in Klaviyo, the way you're going to segment your shoppers, you can now pull those segments into Klevu. And that's what we mean here by enhancing Klaviyo segments with Klevu. It's a no-code connector. As long as you're using Klevu recommendations and Klaviyo, you can practically, start using it yourself. And finally, the third most important point about this connector is the business insights. So you actually get loads of business insights with it, where you would be able to understand that which of these segments are really working, what's the analytics, what's the business that you are getting from it. All right, let's continue to the next one. Yeah, I would like to introduce my colleague Danish here, who would be actually taking us through the product and actual live demonstration of how you can create a Klaviyo connection to Klevu for recommendations, and also how you can build segments. We will go through a real use case also in this demonstration. And please, keep your questions. It would be great, if you can make note of questions, and we will take them, at the end of this presentation in about 30 minutes. Over to you, Danish.
Thank you so much, Nilay. Hi, everyone. It's very exciting to have all of you here I'm going to be going through an actual live demo of how we can integrate Klaviyo segments with Klevu. And the agenda is that you're going to be able to learn how to set up the Klaviyo connector in Klevu. We're going to be creating a few different strategies by different segments in KMC. We're going to be looking at it on the storefront from the point of view of shoppers who belong in different segments. And finally, we're going to be looking at some insights and analytics of how you can verify and monitor their performance in KMC. Let's quickly take a look at the use case that I'm going to show you today, right? So I have a demo store ready for you. In that demo store, I've already set up Klaviyo and I'm tracking a lot of shopper activity, and I've created some segments within Klaviyo. So in this case, I've created some segments. As you see on the screen, we have a segment called as users from California that's based on demographics. I have a segment where all the shoppers who are interested in chandeliers, that's based on their browsing activity. I have another segment with a list of shoppers who have high average order value, approximately more than $150. Another segment based on browsing activity, such as interested in ottomans. I also have my VIP customers who are very loyal to me, and they sort of keep on repeating purchases on my store. And finally, I have a segment of users who are a bit more discount sensitive. The idea is that we're going to pull all of these segments into Klevu and through the connector. And then finally, we're going to create one recommendation banner on the homepage. This one recommendation banner that we create on the homepage, we're going to apply two different segment-based strategies, which is, for example, I'm going to segment or use the segment interested in chandeliers, and I'm going to show them trending products recommendation by applying a filter for chandeliers only. Second, I'm going to pick VIP customers and actually show them an image banner with a 20% discount code. And finally, anybody who does not belong to any of these segments, any of the above two segments, and falls into everyone else, I'll be showing trending products. However, I'm going to be filtering products that are less than $100. This is the use case that we'll be talking about today, and we'll show you this in a live action in a few minutes. All right, let's dive into it directly. So I'm going to quickly show you where I'm going to be placing this recommendation. I have my storefront. This is the demo store that you currently see. I'm going to be placing my recommendation here on the storefront's homepage. Very quickly, I want to show you in Klaviyo, I have the 5 or 6 different segments that we just talked about on the slides. I have all of those segments here, and I am seeing how many members and as such are all over here today. Now, the first step is to pull in and configure the connector so that Klevu can read all of these segments into Klevu. For that, I will head on over to my Klevu Merchant Center. Once I log in, I can then click on the connectors menu from the left panel. I will find the Klaviyo card and I will click on configure. From here, you'll see two different options. We have sync Klaviyo segments and send search events. I'm going to enable this switch where I want to sync Klaviyo segments. The moment I switch this on, it's going to prompt me for an API key. Because the connection with your Klevu account and the Klaviyo account needs to be authorized, we need you to provide an API key that is generated from Klaviyo that we can use here to actually complete the sync process. To find the API key, I will head back over to Klaviyo. I will click on this settings button from bottom left. I'll click on settings. I will then wait for the screen to load, and I will find API keys menu item from right here. And I'm going to go ahead and create a private API key. When I'm creating this private API key, number one, I need to enter a name. So I'm going to do this, for example, 09 November, Klaviyo Klevu demo. And then I need to select what kind of access I need to give for this integration and for this particular API key that's going to be created. The one that Klevu needs and absolutely is must for this connector to work is read access to profiles. So I'm going to go ahead and select read access for profiles. And I'm also going to give read access to segments. These are the only two scopes we require from Klaviyo for this connector and this integration to work. Once I've selected and done this, I'm going to click on create. I'm sorry, it's not going to allow me any special characters. I'm just going to remove that. I'm going to click on create. So now my private API key has been created. I'm just going to copy this. I will head back on over to Klevu Merchant Center. I will put this API key right here, and I'm going to click on authorize. This will now start the entire process of actually making the connection to Klaviyo and then start to sync all of the segments as you see on the screen. Please note that this sync process can take anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds, but depending on the number of segments you have in Klaviyo, it could also take up to a minute or two. Right? Because I have very less amount of segments right now, this would complete very quickly. So you can see the sync status is now successful and when was it last synced. Klevu will automatically sync these segments once a day at 6 a.m. GMT. So even if you're creating new segments in Klaviyo from time to time, please note that we will automatically sync them at 6 a.m. GMT every single day. Should you have a requirement where you need one of these segments immediately to be synced into Klevu, you can take a look at the force sync button and use this. Once I've completed this integration, this was only a one-time step. So once you're done with this, you do not need to come back here and do this every time, which means now Klaviyo segments are being synced to Klevu on a regular basis. I can just simply now head on over to my smart recommendations and start creating my use case. So in KMC, I'm going to click on smart recommendations, head on over to recommendation. I'm going to click on create a new recommendation. I'm going to, as per our use case, I'm going to select homepage because that's where I want to show the banner. I'm going to quickly give it a spot name. I'm going to say homepage segmented banner or something like that. I'm going to click on continue. I'll choose a design from here very quickly. For now, I'm okay with the Klevu default template, so that's all right. I'm going to click on continue. I'm going to forego the scheduling for now. And then when I'm prompted for the audience, instead of selecting everyone, I'm going to select by segment. This is where you get to choose if this recommendation banner that you're creating, do you want it to be shown to everyone, meaning all your shoppers without any segmentation, sort of any segmented items, or do you want to actually merchandise and show different logic or strategies by different segments? Once I've selected by segment, I'm going to click on continue. And now I can actually configure all of my segments and what do I need to show for them or merchandise them. Before I actually talk about everyone else, I'm just going to close this for a second and click on add segment. Once I click on add segment, I will see I get this sort of a section. I will start by selecting my segment from the for dropdown. So when I click on the for dropdown, I will see all of those segments that have been synced from Klaviyo. So you can see we have users from California, high average order value, users who searched for automobiles, etc., and things like that. Based on our use case, my first segment interested in chandeliers. So I'm going to click on interested in chandeliers. You can set an action if you want to configure a recommendation banner or do you want to hide a banner as well. I want to show something and I want to actually configure something. So I'll keep this as is. I'm going to click on logic and select trending products. And from here, I'm actually going to select, I'm going to actually enter a specific title, which will be something like brighten your life with these chandeliers. If you remember, our use case was that for these users who are interested in chandeliers, I actually want to show them only chandeliers. So I'm going to use Klevu's advanced filtering to create some rules around this particular segmented strategy. I'm going to click on create rules. Once I enter the advanced filtering screen, I'm going to click on edit rules for the homepage. I'm going to filter by attribute, and I'm going to say, I want to include products from a specific category. In this case, let's say the product category is, and I'm going to select lighting in this case. Once I've selected that, I'm going to click on done. I will see the preview of the recommendation right here. And I see all of this looks really good. These are all the chandeliers that I want to probably show. I may want to just exclude one of the chandeliers if I want to. If I want to highlight one, I could do that as well by clicking on the pin and as such. Once I'm done with all of my, and I'm happy with my merchandising for this particular segment, I can just click on save. So now I've completed my strategy and logic for this segment. I'm going to add another segment here because I also want to show for my VIP customers, I want to show them an image banner because they're loyal to me. I want to give them some sort of a discount. So I'm going to select custom logic in this case, and I'm going to put in discount image banner as a title. This will not be shown on the storefront because we're going to show an image. I'm going to click on create rules. Once I enter into the advanced filtering screen, I'm going to click on edit. And from the set actions drop down that you see here, rather than filtering products, I'm going to display an image banner. I already have an image banner that I've already created that you see here. I'm just going to copy this URL. I'm going to go back to Klevu Merchant Center and enter that desktop URL right here. If I have a separate image banner that I want to use for mobile devices, you can do so by providing another smaller version, a mobile friendly version of that banner here as well. For now, I'm just going to keep it the same, and I'm going to click on done. So this banner will now be shown for anybody who's in the VIP customers list. I'm happy with this. I'm going to click on save. I've completed both of my use cases there, but anybody who does not belong to both of these segments, what do I do for those? That's why we have a default for everyone else that you can always merchandise. For everyone else, I want to show trending products. But if you remember the use case, I want to show them products only under $100. So I'm going to pick some sort of a title that would be something like this: decorate your home with these items under $100. And I'm going to create a rule where I'm only going to include products that are under of price, which is less than $100. And I'm going to click on done. And I see all of the products that I see here now are going to be under $100. Once I'm happy with this, I'm going to click on save. Once I'm done with all of my configuration, all I have to do is click on save and integrate. I'm presented with a div snippet. And so I'm just going to wait for this to load. There you go. And I now have my div snippet that I can go and integrate onto my storefront. Once I've integrated this into my storefront, you can actually see how this works on different shoppers by different by different segments. To actually show you this in a live setting, I'm going to be actually taking some real live examples of shoppers and showing you what they see on the storefront. All right. I'm going to move my screen and actually show you. I have this person, Alex, who's logged into my storefront. As you can see, this is my account. This person is logged in. And if I go into the homepage now, because Alex belongs to the segment interested in chandeliers, he's going to see the recommendation that we set up: brighten your life with these chandeliers. Same way, I have another user who is Ross, who is a VIP, who belongs to the segment VIP customers. As you can see, he's made a lot of orders in the past few months and years. This person, when he goes to the homepage, or when he returns to the homepage, will actually see the image banner that we configured in KMC. And for anybody else who is completely new to the site or does not belong to VIP customers or interested in chandeliers, for example, who's not even logged in, for example, or does not belong to any segment, if they go to the homepage of this particular storefront, they're going to see decorate your home with these items under $100. So you can now see how at the same place we're able to segment and personalize the recommendation banner either by showing product recommendations or image banners based on what segments they belong to, right? I have one more bonus segment that I already created before the webinar that I'd like to show you now. So if you remember, within my Klaviyo account, I had a segment called as users who are with a high average order value, right? And I'd given that something like $150 or something like that. That's this particular one, right? And we looked at the use case of putting this on, like the homepage. But you can also do this on any page of your store. So you can do this on the product page, on the cart page, or even on your collection pages. I created a small understanding of what it could look like. Let me just quickly go back to Klevu Merchant Center, and I'm going to show you. I've created a banner on the product page with similar items that you like. And I'm actually creating a segment where if somebody's unsegmented, you show them similar products, but you keep or do not show high value products. However, if a shopper belongs to this segment of having a high average order value, I only want to show them a little bit more pricey products. And to showcase that, I'm now going to actually go into my last this thing, which is Rachel, who is a high average order value or who belongs to a high average order value segment. If I go to their storefront, and if I go to a product page, let's say in this case, I'm going to go into this LB Design Ceramic product page. And if I go down, you will see a recommendation that will see similar items that you may like. Because Rachel belongs to a high average order value segment, the products that are recommended are of a much higher price point. In the same scenario, if I go back to everyone else or who's unsegmented, and if I click on the same product, and if I go down into the similar items that you may like, you will see that the products that they are shown are not of higher price points. They actually include products that are also less than $150 or $100. So you could this way actually personalize not only based on browsing activities or demographics and as such, but you could actually use the amount of revenue that they're spending with you in terms of average order value and sort of also merchandise your product recommendations based off of this. All right. Lastly, you'd always want to know how your recommendations are performing. And we have a very comprehensive way of checking this within our KMC. You can head on over to Analytics under Smart Recommendations. You could select the correct time zone that you'd like to set through. In this case, I'm going to say, let's say last 90 days. And I can then actually see which of my recommendations are doing well in terms of their product impressions, their product clicks, their CTR, sales, and as such. In this case, if I can see that the people who search for chandeliers or are interested in chandeliers are actually doing quite well, because I'm seeing the amount of recommendations and the click-through rate and the CR is actually doing so well. Obviously, we suggest that you keep on reviewing your recommendation insights and analytics on a weekly basis and fine-tune any of the merchandising and filtering that you mean to do to make sure that you get the most out of Klevu recommendations and this connector with Klaviyo. All right, I'm going to go back to my slides, and we are now going to go through a couple of FAQs. Very quickly, which segments do we sync from Klaviyo? We sync active segments only from Klaviyo. Klaviyo has the ability to actually sometimes deactivate segments if there is no activity within them. Currently, this sits at 45 days, and we only want to make sure that we're not syncing redundant data from Klaviyo. So we're only going to be syncing active segments from Klaviyo. Next, what is the maximum number of segments that can be configured in one single recommendation? Klevu will allow you to configure up to 10 segments per recommendation. So if you're working with multiple segments within your recommendation, Klaviyo, you can configure up to 10 segments, which means you can target 10 different types of shoppers on your storefront and on any other sort of product pages on your storefront. What happens if a customer belongs to multiple segments? Which logic or segment will take precedence? In this case, imagine that Alex, that we just saw as an example, belonged to VIP customers and also belonged to interested in chandeliers. For such a use case, based on how you have set up the segments in the KMC, it will be executed based on the topmost priority. So here, if you see, if Alex was part of both VIP customers and interested in chandeliers, the VIP customers would be given precedence, and that is the one that would be executed on the storefront. However, we understand that you would like to have control over which one to give precedence to, and hence we also have the reorder segment functionality within KMC. So if I wanted to give more precedence to interested in chandeliers, I could just drag and drop this and save my save this particular recommendation. So this way now, interested in chandeliers is going to get more weightage than VIP customers. But that's up to you and how you'd like to sort of set the precedence in KMC. I will now hand over to Nilay to talk about some upcoming webinars. Over to you, Nilay.
Thank you. Thank you, Danish. Yeah, if you could go to the next one, please. So I don't know if if you had participated in the product town hall that me and our CTO did a week ago. There would be the next town hall would be on 5th of December, 4 p.m. UK time. So you're very welcome to join there. And what Danish went through, our head of marketing, Rachel Toner, she will be going through Klaviyo segments in a more strategic way, and also focusing on a lot of other strategies and so on. And that's going to be happening on 6th of December. I think the link is on the next slide, Danish. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So if you want to join the segmentation strategy workshop, that's going to be on 6th, and you would receive the link after this webinar to your email as well. There are some questions coming up, so I'll take one by one here. Just a moment. So I think there was one question on if I have some other marketing tool, would Klevu support it? We are working on in a way that you can import your segments in CSV and upload it in Klevu Recommendations. So that would not have the as seamless connectivity and automation like you saw in Klaviyo. It requires also that the marketing technology on the other hand, also, we have to work together to achieve this level of seamless connection. And we are reviewing actively with our customers and also the partners in terms of which the next one we would take. We might also take more deeper connection with Klaviyo on other products because currently, as you saw, it works with recommendations, but we are also receiving some interest that can we use these segments now on category merchandising or search and other products as well. So, but to answer your question, there would be some way you could expand on that. And if you have, it would be very good for us to know that which marketing platform you are using. So we would definitely record that and see what we can do about it. Next question we have is there a recorded training about sending Klevu data to Klaviyo somewhere? Yes. So the training that we went through today, we're gonna add that also into Klevu Merchant Center in coming weeks, but we will also share this with you so you have it with you. Are all active Klaviyo segments synced, or is it only those segments built using Klevu search events? No, you're kind of, as I said in the beginning, Josh, our first product was about sending Klevu search events to Klaviyo. what you saw today is not about that. It is about sending Klaviyo segments to Klevu. So to answer your question, all active Klaviyo segments will be visible in Klevu recommendations. This particular capability is only scoped to recommendations. So Klaviyo segments coming to Klevu recommendations. So you can build more segmented recommendation strategy on each of these pages, whether it's home page or product page, and so on. Next question we have is, can Klevu send any information to Klaviyo, such as product recommendation for emails? Thank you, Gosia, for your question. That was our first connector, actually. I encourage you to have a look, and we can also share the information with you. And that was from the search. So if you are using that capability, you can send from Klaviyo, you can send search-led marketing automation to your shopper. So that was our first connector with Klaviyo, where Klevu was sending search events to Klaviyo, and that means that as a shopper, I would receive an email with recommendations that actually were powered based on search from Klevu, and they are personalized IDs coming from Klevu. I think for that feature to be used, you need to be using personalization capability at Klevu. Whereas what we went through today, it is about using Klaviyo segments in Klevu. So now, and in recommendation as a product. Let's see if you have any other question coming up. Yes, we will. I think it's automated. So after this call, you will receive an email thanking you for joining the call, and you would receive the link to the recording as well. Brilliant. If there is no more question, I think we can close this training. And please remember, on 5th of December, we would have a product town hall, and on 6th of December, there would be workshop on, or training, apologies, on segmentation strategies. Meanwhile, if you need any help, or if any way we can help you, please feel free to write to us at support@klevu.com. Thank you so much for your time. We sincerely appreciate you joining us today. Thank you. I hope it was useful.